Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How is everybody tonight? I hope you're all well. Let's say hello to the chat. Good evening, Amadon. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Sarah. Hope you're both well. So then, what are we going to be doing this evening? We are going to take a look at Star Trek Adventures Utopia Planitia Starfleet Sourcebook for the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. So we are boldly going into the final frontier, flicking through the pages of the ships of the line. If you are a Star Trek fan, this is probably the show for you. Now, to help me out this evening, I'm going to invite the channel's resident Star Trek fan. So, Sarah, are you all set and ready to join me? We'll wait for the acknowledgement. Oh, please let it be working. Are you there, Sarah? Oh, I think you are. Hang on a second. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
The message didn't come up on chat, so I don't know whether you said hello or not. It might just be from my side, but not to worry, not to worry. So how are you? You good?
Yes. I did electrical work and I didn't get electrocuted. I think I'm doing great.
That's definitely a plus. So, you coming on tonight to help me look through this Star Trek sourcebook. Now,
Okay.
I believe that you are a bit of a Star Trek fan.
Yeah,
because...
but that doesn't mean I know anything.
No, this is... Well, we're going to find out. Now, tell me how much of a Star Trek fan you are, because what's one of your dog's names?
Kobayashi Maru.
Okay, so that kind of hints that you might be a Star Trek fan. And in your bathroom, don't you have some Star Trek paraphernalia?
Okay, but it's just a blueprint of the ship on the wall. The shower curtain is just a blueprint of the ship, and then there's 3 wall arts in there that are related. I maybe got my husband the Bluetooth workable communicator once for Christmas, and like the little intercom that goes and will like go off if somebody walks in the room once for Christmas.
So
do we have Star Trek pajamas? Yes. Do we have Star Trek jackets? Yes. Is the stockings that I made for my husband once for Christmas Star Trek? Yes.
So some might say that you do have a little bit of a connection with Star Trek. You do know a little bit about it. So...
Are we more of a Trek house than a Wars house? Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, well, so here we go then. Before we get started tonight, let's just find out just how much of a fan or how much of the Star Trek lore you might have actually put away for a rainy day and you've remembered it. So let's do a bit of a quiz with you.
To be fair, I married a Trekkie. Well, not necessarily. I don't know if I would classify him as a Trekkie, but I married into somebody who likes Star Trek over Star Wars, okay? And then I was like, holy crap, I like this show too. So there we go, all right? And I might like, and everybody loves Spock, which is great, but I prefer The Next Generation with Data. I mean, Spock is still, of course, favorite, hello, but I prefer my Data with my tiny little life force.
Okay, well, I've got some questions here from the entirety of the Star Trek universe. So let's see. And obviously, it's a bit of fun. Chat, maybe you might have some of the answers as well. So feel free to put your answers in on it. But of course, don't Google it. that would be cheating, wouldn't it? So here we go. Let's start off with something really simple. How many episodes were aired in the original series?
I don't know that.
No?
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, the original series. How often was it on TV?
Well, I can tell you it aired for 3 seasons.
Yeah, but was it like a weekly thing, a nightly thing?
I think it was a weekly thing at the time. Do you happen to know what year it actually started? Because that date is Star Trek Day, which is celebrated within the fandom each year.
I know that it was way before I was born. I wanna say that it might have been the 60s is when it started, but I do know that Lucille Ball played a huge part in them actually getting the funding to even do the show.
That's correct,
there's
yeah.
that.
Yeah, okay, no, that's good. That's good. See, if you can't answer the question, but you can come on in with something else equally as good, then that counts. Okay, so here we go. I'll give you some answers. It's 79 episodes. That was it for the original series, which actually is quite a small amount, I guess, by today's standards. But obviously, it had such an impact. It then spawned several further TV series and, of course, movies. And then, of course, we have all the games. So, yes, it's been a huge phenomenon. And it first aired September 8th, 1966. So you were right with in the 60s, mid-60s there. Okay, this one you've got to be able to know. What does the T stand for in James T. Kirk?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm losing. I think we're losing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you now.
I do.
You
I don't know it. I would vote Tucker, but that's not right. I know it's probably something very different.
Isn't Tucker the name of the engineer in the Enterprise TV show? I think that might be. So yeah, you get half a point for knowing someone's name then. It's Tiberius. James Tiberius Kirk.
Amber didn't have it.
My chat is not coming up, and I don't know why. Let me...
Hey, Roger. Hey, Amberden.
Oh my goodness, yes, there is so much chat here that I'm not getting to see. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can just change this. There we go, let's see if that... Okay, so yes, Amberden was there right with Tiberius, and good evening, Roger. Thank you for joining us. Alright, okay, so it looks like chat's scoring quite a few points here. Let's see if, how about this one? I think chat's going to get this one, maybe. Do you know Khan's full name?
Hans?
Khan, yeah. Khan from Wrath of Khan and from the original episode Space Seed. Let's see if chat...
I do not know his full name.
No? It's an interesting one because, if I remember rightly, Data's name of his creator is similar. I don't know if they are actually related. So they did carry on this into the next generation. So Roger, no, you don't know? Amberden, do you have any idea?
You're right. You're right about your guess on data.
Yes.
Data.
Okay, it's Khan Noonien Singh. Okay, here you go. Here's a fun one, which you'll just have to
Although
take.
by Dr. Noonien, Soong, created data.
Oh, is it? Am I wrong in that case? Oh, I see. There you go.
No, you weren't wrong. I mean, it was Noonien, but then Soong instead of the Singh.
Right. So it's the same middle name, but then not to the last name.
Same.
It's the same, but different. Absolutely. Okay, so here you go. Here's a fun one. All right. How many red shirts died in the original series? Now, I can tell you...
Well, every red shirt's gonna die. You never want to be a red shirt.
I can tell you that in the original series, 55 crew members were killed. So, how many out of 55 were wearing red shirts?
Okay, so in my mind, I would say 26, but that's not enough. I feel like it would have to be a lot more than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Let's see. So you're going to say 26. What about chat? What do you think? How many red shirts?
I feel like it's a lot more than that. But you never want to be the red shirt, never, because they're gonna die.
so Rogue is saying out of 55 crew members who died, 50 of them were red shirts. You really did not want to put a red shirt on. Amberden's saying 15. You're actually really close, Sarah. It was 24.
I was 2 off. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So 24 red shirts died throughout the 3 seasons. Okay. Let's. Oh, so this is going to be one, whether, because again, it's all down to whether you actually watch the series. What breed of dog was Captain Archer's? He's the only captain to take a dog with him on his mission. What breed of dog was it?
It's a little dog.
Amberden's saying a basset hound?
Basset hounds are big.
I mean, yeah, you wouldn't want that going around the starship, would you? And of course, Captain Archer's Enterprise was probably one of the smallest of all the ships, so very enclosed.
What was Wishbone? Was Wishbone a terrier? So I don't think it would have been a wishbone dog.
How about you, Roga? Do you have an idea?
What's a little basset hound? What's a little version of a basset hound? Like a beagle or something?
It's a beagle! There you go, it's a beagle! I knew you'd get it.
Well, you gotta think of it, of all TV dogs, they wouldn't be a fluffy dog.
Yep.
Because you're on a ship. Why would you have a fluffy dog? You'd want a dog that could do something, so you wouldn't want a yappy dog. So beagles, I could see like a beagle or a terrier being like a decent like on TV dog.
Indeed. Okay, here you go. This is a bit of a curveball, this one. And given the fact that you have the Enterprise blueprints, you may have seen this. So, what is cetacean ops?
What is who's what's now?
What is cetacean ops?
I don't know. Do I get a clue?
Well, the clue's in the title or in the name. What about chat? Do you have any idea? And I hope I am saying that right. Cetacean ops. Cetacean.
Crustacean?
It's close. It is marine, so let's just call it marine. So Amadon's saying dolphin whale operations. Okay, so if you're aware of that, can you give
So there's like a tank or something?
Uh-huh.
So this be like a tank on the ship?
Yeah.
Or like the...
Does anybody know how this might link on in? It's a thing. It really is a thing. It's in the Enterprise, the Next Generation Technical Manual, in the blueprints.
For like underwater driving, or just like it's on the ship?
It's on the ship. It's on the ship. It's in the saucer section.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. They never featured it in the TV show because, of course, it would have taken too much as far as budget and special effects. But there is an area on the Enterprise D that basically there are dolphins swimming around, and they help as navigational specialists. Because
that would make sense.
We're so far into the future that we've been able to start talking to dolphins, but also there is Star Trek 4 when the alien probe comes to Earth trying to find the whales that of course have become extinct. we then realized as a human race that we need to keep our whales and our dolphins alive, just in case of future alien visitation. So all starships have...
GPS goes down, no worries. We got a dolphin in the back, guys. We're
dolphins
good.
on board. Absolutely. There you go.
All right.
All right, then. Final question. Of all the starships named Enterprise, which is the best?
The NC-1701?
But which one?
Well, the NCC-1701?
So the original, are you saying the original's the best?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever class it is. I'm not in my bathroom.
Well, this is a personal preference because, of course, everybody has a different idea of which of the Enterprises was the best. So Roger's saying, do you mean the Excelsior class? That's the Enterprise B. We, of course, have the Galaxy class, which you're familiar with, which is the D. That was in the TV show. And then in the movie, or the movies, the Next Generation movies, it was the Enterprise E, wasn't it? The more sleek
Here's the one from the show, then I guess I'm down with the D.
You're with the D. You're with the D. All right. So well, there we go. That's probably a good jumping off point because, of course, this book was that painful. This book is all about the starships in Star Trek. And this is a supplement to the role-playing game. And the great thing about role-play games is that they typically produce a whole host of source books to give the games masters and the players lots and lots of information for them to be able to sort of fill out and imagine the world that they inhabit. But of course, as a Star Trek fan, this book is great because it serves itself in two purposes. You can use it for the actual game and take advantage of all the rules that are in there, but also then just as a fan, you can just read up on Star Trek starships, which is kind of awesome. So, as you might expect, the book is really nicely produced. And what we'll do is we'll just have a quick look here.
Did I win, by the way? Did I know anything enough?
You did. You knew a few. Knew a few. It's funny how, because people kind of have a general idea about Star Trek, don't they? It's sort of permeated into the sort of the cultural. Is it the zeitgeist? Everybody knows Spock. Everybody knows what beam you up means. Everybody knows what the Enterprise is.
I don't think that they actually ever said "beam me up, Scotty" on the show, and that's what everybody says.
That's correct. Yes.
But I don't think that they actually ever say "beam me up, Scotty."
That's absolutely, yeah. You see, so you
know, like the random stuff.
That's cool. The random stuff is great. Yeah, no, you're quite right.
They're accredited for like one of, not like the first, but like one of the first interracial kisses on like actual TV.
Yes.
And I mean, I think that there's a story behind that of where like William Shatner like messed up all the scenes, so they had to use it.
That's correct.
Which I think is kind of awesome. So good job for him.
Yes.
Hooray.
Yes. No. Like again, that was the thing with Star Trek, wasn't it? It was pioneering in everything that it did. As you say, first interracial kiss, having a Russian on a starship which was predominantly with American crew at the height, I suppose, of the Cold War, breaking those boundaries down, wasn't it? Which is quite amazing. So yes,
it's
mystical.
Mystic.
Good evening. Look
so
at all
many
those
pizza cutters.
And they must have created a pizza cutter enterprise, mustn't they? Yeah, you've got to be able to get
these
that.
fly on science and not magic.
There you go. Here we go. There's Captain Archer. So this book, basically, I mean, we're going to go through it digitally, so you can see clearly. But it's wonderfully laid out, beautiful artwork throughout. Lots and lots of history and just bits of information that just really catapults you into the 23rd and 24th century. If you are a Star Trek fan, you would get a lot from this book, even if you were not intending to play the game. That's what I've always enjoyed about source books. When I was younger, I went and got all of the Star Wars role-playing source books. Because there was just a lack of information, a lack of material being released after Return of the Jedi, in what was the dark times between Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace. So role-playing games were a great source of information just to feed my imagination. But let's...
There's a lack of Star Trek stuff in general. Like,
No.
you can go into a store and it's like, oh, Star Wars everything, but here's one thing for Star Trek, if that. And you're like, gosh, how am I supposed to decorate my bathroom if I can't find any decor for it? So now I'm going to have to hand embroider Star Trek towels to go in there.
I don't know. I think Star Trek is well represented within the geekdom and all the merchandise, isn't it? There's a lot
but
you
not
can
at
get.
like affordable prices like other ones.
Well, yes, I guess it is popular, isn't it? So, let's take a look at the Utopia Planitia Starfleet Sourcebook. It kind of, with the title, it makes you think that they potentially might be doing source books for the other major factions within the Star Trek universe, so maybe the Klingons and the Romulans, because they would make interesting books as well. So let's take a look. Again, as I say, beautiful artwork throughout. I feel almost like maybe a bird watcher or a train spotter, and it's like, how many of these starships can you identify? Just from their sort of top-down designs here. Obviously for you, Sarah, up at the top there is the Galaxy class. And it's interesting just looking at the different sizes as well, because obviously they are big ships. But
Rebel, second from the right, looks like a cute little jumping spider.
Second from the right?
So, a second row.
Yeah.
Third one in from the right, if we're just going to count in. So
this one here?
Yeah, above that one, though, because second.
Oh, this one here?
Yeah, it looks like a little jumping spider.
Is that what jumping spiders look like?
Yeah, the little arms, big butt, and little head. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll go with that. I wonder if that was what the designer was thinking.
You invited me here. You take my input as it comes. You asked for it.
I will learn. Okay, so we have a forward here written by. It is Thomas Marone, who is the Associate Art Director of Star Trek Online. So, I don't know if you're aware, but there is a huge, massively multiplayer online game which is based in the Star Trek universe, where you can go around as a character, but ultimately you can take control of various starships. You can design your own starships, and so a lot of the starships that are featured in this book have actually come from that game. So if you are a Star Trek fan, there is a good chance you're probably playing that game, and that being the case, now you can bring some of your favorite starships from the game into your role-playing game as well, which is great. It's good when sort of universes cross over like this.
This is also, you can essentially do like a D&D, but with Star Trek.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Wow, that's crazy and exciting.
So okay, so what type of character would you be then in your Star Trek role-playing game? Thinking. Oh, so we can just think
Not
purely.
a red shirt.
Not a red shirt, okay. But hang on a second, because you're talking about the Next Generation as being your favorite show. So a red shirt actually is pretty good.
Well, I mean, because you had like what was red? The sciences.
No. So here we go.
Hold on.
Which era are we talking about? Are we going to be talking about Next Generation or the original series? because they see, that's the thing with Starfleet. They change their uniforms more times than anything, don't they? So which series do you want to talk about? Roger's saying security was in the original. Yes, so the original red shirts were the security. It was also engineering as well, as Amadon points out.
Yeah, because blue was science. Blue was science at one point, and then operations and command. Yeah, well, command's usually always red, though. Well, not always red, but...
Well, so here we go. So in the original series, operations and command was gold. And as you rightly say, sciences, so science and medical was blue, and then engineering and security was red. But then by the time they got to the next generation, they swapped it all around. So red was command, and then gold was engineering and security, and blue was still sciences. So blue is the only one that hasn't changed. But yes, sometimes it's a little bit greenish, isn't it? In fact, it's a little bit like your name, which is appearing in the chat, Roger. That sort of greeny blue, depending on how you look at it. So go on then. So of the different types of sort of disciplines, what would you be?
Blue, but only probably because it would look good with my eyes.
Fair enough. We can't say. So, would you be in medical or in science? Which, and you're going to sort of split down a bit.
I mean, technically, in real life, I have a master's in social work, which is more on like the behavioral sciences of things, I guess. So, technically, yes.
So would you be more like a Counselor Troy kind of?
Yeah, there you go.
Personality. Yes. I'm sensing great disturbance. Oh, Mystical saying, "Do not put her in medical." What do you know, Mystical?
Would that be sciences or medical, though?
What was that? Sorry.
Like, would that be sciences or medical, though?
Yes. It all comes under the one sort of broad category, and then it splits down from there, doesn't it? So yes, you'll be under sciences.
Then there we go. We're fine.
Yeah, you'll be okay. Roger, you're saying engineering. You'd rather be in engineering, like tinkering with warp cores, hey? How about you, Amadon? What would you go as? What type of character?
What? Okay, but here's this. Could I just look after the dolphins?
Well, that could be an interesting. Again, it depends on your games master. Maybe the actual story revolves around the dolphins.
They wouldn't really be good at their job anymore. But would they know tricks? Yes.
Would you distract them so much that they'd forgot their astronavigation skills?
Yeah, would they maybe forget their skills of navigation? Yes, most likely. But would they be really friendly and do awesome tricks and stuff? Yes.
Good evening, Blademark. Thanks for joining us. We are just discussing everything to do with Star Trek, so feel free to fire in questions. So if you're going back to pick a role in Star Trek, it would have to be Q. Oh, you want to go for Q? I don't think you can be Q in the role-playing game. We were talking about what type of role you would be on the starship. So would you be in command or in engineering, security, in one of the sciences? What would you do, Blademark?
Okay, so Mystic is saying that I can't be medical because I'd be like, here's a band-aid, blah. But no, as long as I don't lose my little medical phaser thing, I could just be like, bloop, you're done, you're good to go. But the problem is that I forget where I put things a lot, so... Anything that would rely on like a phaser type of thing might not be for me.
Yes. Don't use a phaser in medical situations. Use a tricorder. A phaser is a little bit more permanent when you use it.
Just set it to stun and everything's fine, okay? Well, you know what I meant. A little remote control gun thing, and they press it and it fixes stuff, and that would be me, except I would misplace it, or I'd grab the wrong one, or it wouldn't be set to stun.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so this first part of the book is going through the origins of Starfleet. I did actually have was one of these questions for you. If you would have got bonus points for this if you knew when First Contact Day is. And I actually, is it? Yeah. Nice. I was trying to work out whether the date actually had anything significant in our sort of modern timeline, but I don't think it does. So First Contact Day is when the Vulcans first approached the human settlement. It was on April 5th, 2063, so we've got a few years off yet. We may be around still by then. You never know. Blade Mark, I would have said...
What year?
April 5th, 2063.
Okay, that's in what, like 40?
About 40 odd years. Yeah, in fact, we're not far off. 41 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, we should all make it to that. so long as we all survive the cost of living crisis that's going on at the moment, and we don't all freeze to death, we'll be fine. Playback, I would have said engineering, but they get shouted on for everything, and you wouldn't have time to chill. I'm glad to hear that your recreation time is very important for you, so that's good. Isn't there a place it'll be in Iowa, there is a sort of a monument, and it basically says the future birthplace of James T. Kirk. So they actually have a monument that basically has Captain Kirk's birthday, and they are preparing for when he is born, which is quite something.
Yes. And they hold a thing in June to like a Trek Fest.
Right. Yeah. No, I could well imagine.
I just pulled that up. Yeah.
Take full advantage of the fact of that your town has suddenly become famous, but it's only going to be famous in the future. I wonder how many people will name their newly born sons on that day James T. Kirk. I suppose it's only Mr. and Mrs. Kirk would get away with it, really.
Yeah. But you could name a child James Kirk and then your last name.
I guess that's true. You could do that, couldn't you? Yeah.
I mean, we named a dog Kobayashi Maru, so I mean, you can name anything, really.
Absolutely. So, yes, it goes through the first part here. It's going through all of the formation of the United Federation of Planets, and then Starfleet itself, which is the exploration sort of division, the extension of the UFP. And then it starts going into some detail actually on Starfleet operations. And again, this is what I really, really like, because now it's talking about what is life like in Starfleet. Have you happened to watch, or has anybody in the chat happened to watch, there's a new Star Trek animated TV show called Lower Decks. Has anybody seen that?
So good!
So there you go. If you've been watching Lower Decks, then you should have got the dolphins, because the dolphins are in Lower Decks.
Well, yeah, but it's been a while since I've watched the Real People episodes.
Yes, no, they don't appear in the Real People, but in Lower Decks, because it's animated, they can put in all these great little Easter eggs that were meant to be there. And because
it's focused on like the workers on the ships instead of the main people up top.
Yes. So I've actually played Star Trek Adventures a few times, and when you're playing it, or certainly within the group that I was with, you start to realize that you have this wonderful idea of what you might be like as a Starfleet officer. And then when the situations arise, you realize that you are not as disciplined and as clear of mind as they are in the show. And actually...
Don't mess with the Prime Directive, you'll be fine.
Well, we didn't, but we were just very, very bad. We were not the premier away team. We were like Z Team. And very
See, I
much...
drop and forget too much stuff to be able to do it. Like I would accidentally mess up the, not do the whole Prime Directive thing on accident. Like, oh crap, where's my phone? Oh nuts, I set it down somewhere. now this new now the settlement now has this technology that they didn't even know existed. Is like, what? And I'm like, oh. And then they should be like, oh, she did it again.
all of these quarantine planets in your wake as you're bumbling through the galaxy. Yes, that was very much what we were like. We were very much like the lower decks crew, which makes me wonder, will they ever do a lower decks sort of source book where you can have that slightly more comedic, bumbling, the lower class of characters in a roleplay scenario? Because yeah, Lower Decks is probably one of the best Star Trek shows to be released in a long time. So, talking about downtime on the ship, so the crew lounge. Could you remember the name of the crew lounge on the Enterprise D?
Do not.
No? 10 forward? With Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg? She was the one who was able to... she was a friend with Picard for many, many years. She's a very long-lived species. She was the one who basically hinted about the Borg when they first encountered them due to Q. Blade Mark was saying before he would like to be Q. I think that's possibly slightly overpowered for this game. That could be quite interesting. No, surely the Games Master is Q. That probably seems to fit thematically, doesn't it? So again, the book has just absolutely everything you would need to know about life on a starship, talking about headings, talking about navigation. In fact, so here we go, this gives opportunity. Roger, would you care to type in a command? It is !warp. And hopefully that works. Or maybe it's warp speed then. Must be warp speed. All seems appropriate as we get to here. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. So again, it talks about the technology, talks about sort of the lore within the Star Trek universe, but also then equates it to how that works within game terms. So warp speed can be as fast as you need it to be for your plot, which is, of course, ideal for as you're playing the game. Do we take a shuttle or a transporter? See, again, I love the idea of, how the transporters were created, because of course it was so they could save money on special effects. You didn't have to have a shuttlecraft going down to a new planet every episode. You could just basically beam them down. Oh, you're very close, Amberden. You're very close. If I remember rightly, it's going to be... Oh, actually, can I remember now? I think they do !SFX. Ah, there you go. Beam me up. I knew I had one somewhere. Okay, so what's this? Resource collection. See, do I get points, Sarah, for doing it correctly?
Unlike my husband's coffee mug.
Oh, is that incorrect then? Does it have a beam me up Scotty?
think his mug or whatever is like beamy Scotty, and then whenever it gets hot, the little transporter gets clear, and you see the little guy standing in the transporter.
Fantastic. Love it. Okay, so again, it's going through lots of detail here, all about hazards in space and lack of resources, and then salvage and retrieval. Of course, you know, as a games master, you're going to want to have all of this information to be able to make your space travel believable. But then we get to actual starships, and again, I guess this is something that's maybe quite unique for Star Trek, because I've seen so many fan films of amazing CGI recreations of the Enterprise and other starships from the show being done using modern computer special effects, and there seems to be a real love of, I suppose, the beauty of what these vessels look like. I suppose it's quite unique. I mean, it's something about we've always liked naval vessels, haven't we? And I've seen in years past that there are calendars of different starships. So it's a bit of, I don't know, it's a bit of like starship porn, isn't it? Really, where you get to see these wonderfully beautiful, sleek starship vessels. I don't know, guys, in the chat, do you agree? Did you like watching the 5 minutes worth of circling around the Enterprise in the motion picture, or was that just a bit too much? Let us know in the chat. So it does go through in some detail on basically making the starship as an actual character within the game, because it is an integral part. Obviously you could see Kirk's emotions when he ordered the Enterprise to be destroyed. It saved his crew, it helped him try and find his lost friend Spock, but of course ultimately he destroyed what arguably is his one true love. So the ship is an important part, it is a character in its own right. And then it does allow you to create your own starships as well. So this is where you can have really amazing designs, but still, of course, within the design language of what is a Starfleet ship. So again, lots and lots of detail. Start talking about shuttlecrafts, because there are plenty of those in Star Trek as well. And then this is where we're starting to get into all the different rules of the game and of the different starship space frame mission profiles. And then, of course, we've got space stations. Again, if you're a Star Trek fan, this is just awesome, awesome stuff. Different types of weapons. So I'm just going to go. I just skipped too many. That is a photon torpedo, which of course is what was used to launch Spock's body to the Genesis planet. You must have seen Star Trek Wrath of Khan and Star Trek 3 Search for Spock, Sarah, yeah?
Probably.
Yeah? Is it a while ago? They actually had the anniversary of Wrath of Khan was this year. I ended up watching it at the movie theater once they finally opened up again, and that was quite something. I never actually watched it as a kid at the cinema, so it was quite something to actually see it up on the big screen. We'll skip some of this because there's just lots and lots of information, and then we start getting to actual spaceships themselves. So some of these are going to be, I think, is this going to be one of the freighters? Because it's definitely unlike the ships that we're used to in the Star Trek shows. And some of these are like very early designs, because of course the game features you can essentially play the game in any era within Star Trek, and of course the Star Trek TV shows have pretty much covered hundreds of years worth, from what is the early Starfleet all the way through to the current shows with, like say, with Lower Decks, which is set after the movies. So did you actually? So Sarah, did you manage to watch the rebooted Star Trek films? Did you enjoy those?
Which? Oh, with like the yes, I've seen those ones. The newest ones that came out.
Yeah. What did you think of those?
Yeah. Those were good. Those were alright.
They were all right. They were okay.
I mean, it's good, but I mean, it's I don't know. Because that's the ones where like Leonard Nimoy and whatever like appeared in them, right?
That's what. Which one? Sorry.
Didn't Leonard Nimoy make like appearances in them?
Yes, he did. Yeah. He did in the first two, and then of course, sadly, he passed away before the third one.
Oh yeah, no. I think we did watch one of those in the theaters, and I just cried.
Yes, there was a very nice,
okay,
touching
now
tribute,
I know what we're talking
it?
about because I cried at one of them in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was nicely done, nice tribute.
Yeah. So I have a fun Star Trek fact for you.
Oh, go on then.
So it's more for the Enterprise series?
Yes, go for it. Well, we're actually just looking at the NX class there, so yes.
So in the pilot episode, I don't know if you notice, if you remember it, but the father-son are on the beach flying a ship around.
Yes, I know. Oh, go on. Yes, I know where you're going to go. Go on for it.
There's an R2-D2 in the cockpit of that ship.
There is, isn't there? Which is so fun. That's great when the designers do things like that. Yeah.
Because I know the guy who did it.
Ah, and that's why I know, because you're now telling me a memory that I've got, which of course you told me originally. Because you sent me the photograph, didn't you?
I did tell you, didn't I? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He was in one of the modeling groups that I was in Vegas.
That's it. I remember. Yes, and you sent me the photograph.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, a little R2-D2 in
one of the ships on an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah. So that does that mean that Star Wars is actually part of the Star Trek universe, isn't it?
Because that guy is a Star Wars fan.
Exactly. Yes.
He does like the whole dress as like a stormtrooper and everything. He's probably a member of the 501st for that area too. So, but I think it's funny.
So he basically he puts in his little model R2-D2 in his newly designed Starfleet vessel, because Star Wars is just a movie.
I think though it might have been like the remote control plane or whatever they were flying around. And
yep.
Yeah,
that's the one. So this one here, this is from, I think it's from the Star Trek Discovery series. This is the Shenzhou. Which is it Michelle Yeoh who played the captain right at the beginning of the series. This is one of the new ships that they designed. Again, there's just some of these ships, people just like them because they're just beautiful ships. And of course, there are so many different ways of getting these. So obviously, got them in the book. As I say, there have been calendars, but you can also sign up. There is a model magazine model line where you can get these as sort of die-cast models. If you really, really like your Star Trek, then I've seen huge collections of where people have every single vessel. And of course, there are a variety of different Star Trek miniature-based games where you can have all the individual ships. They don't all look like pizza cutters. Not all of them. So again, you could just be quite happily just going through this, just finding, what type of ship are you going to base your adventure upon, because it doesn't necessarily mean you and your crew are going to be in the best ship in the fleet. And I think that's what I like about the Lower Decks series, is that the ship that they are on, I think is it a California class, is kind of looked down on by everybody else as being, very, very much I suppose the workhorse of Starfleet.
Not only are they not like the main like officer people, they're also not on the main known about ship.
That's it. Yeah. They really are the sort of the low of the low. But I think that's what gives it that uniqueness and that charm, and so they can have obviously so much more fun with it. As I say, I think I've thoroughly enjoyed the episodes. It is brilliant. So I would hope that in some way, and maybe people are already doing it, using the Star Trek Adventures roleplay to play like Lower Decks. I think that's actually might be a really cool idea. So this one here is looking a little bit similar to the original series, isn't it? It's one of its engines down underneath it, but the saucer looks like the Enterprise. And then there we go. That's the Enterprise that we kind of recognise from the movies. And then this one, of course, just looks all very blocky. And then this is from Discovery. Have you been watching Discovery?
If that was the newest one, yes, I started watching it.
Right.
But then I know at one point we didn't, and I don't know if it was just because the subscription networks we had, we couldn't, or... Yeah,
they've done quite a few series recently, haven't they? Because they did Discovery, they've done Star Trek Picard, and I think it was this year it was Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So in fact, if you're a Star Trek fan, there's a lot of Star Trek on TV. Not so much in the movies at the moment, but on TV there's effectively 4 different shows running this year, which is quite amazing.
Yes, for Discovery. But like I said, we got to a certain point where we couldn't watch it because of subscription,
sure,
what it was on and how far we got, but yeah.
This one is Miranda class. This is from Star Trek Wrath of Khan. I can give you an interesting factoid on this. When the design team were trying to build a starship that's going to face off against the Enterprise, originally the ship had its engines up at the top, just like the Enterprise. And the director, when he received the imagery, he received it upside down and then signed his signature, which then of course put the engines slung underneath the saucer. And so they went, oh, is he signing it because he likes the design as we intended it, or because this is the orientation that he likes? And so that's how we got the Reliant with its warp engines slung underneath.
Interesting.
I still think it's one of the good-looking ships. I like that one. This one, of course, I have never been able to work out how on earth are you supposed to get from the top part of the ship to the bottom part of the ship. It's like the ship with in Lower Decks, and Lower Decks actually explains it because of the saucer. How do you get to the lower part? And it's basically just little elevator tubes. That's it. So I'm assuming that's what this one must have, but it just seems like such a weird design.
Looks like it's like, you know, like the the airplanes that also have like the boats underneath, so that way they can land in water.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Kind of like that.
Well, again, you know, a lot of these ships would have been designed, obviously, at the time where it is traditional model making materials. So, you know, again, lots of the ships in Star Wars, of course, they just went out and got model kits of fighters and battleships, anything that, you know, from essentially Second World War, and then kit bashed it all together to create a brand new ship. And I can well imagine that some of these ships in that era were done in a similar way. So maybe the designer looked at what do they call it, like the buoyancy floats, aren't they, on an a seaplane, isn't it? So yeah, actually you're quite right. It does look like that, doesn't it?
A seaplane. That's what it's called.
That's it, a seaplane. Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. I guess as a designer, it's got to be interesting, isn't it? Because you've got to try and make something different, and then make it believable in the function that it's been designed for. Now, of course, all of these ships are designed in computers, and they can pretty much just pull parts and move them around, try out different configurations, see what sort of visually works for them. I want to try and get to one of these ships, because I love all the little stories that come along with these. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there we go. Roger, you were talking about the Excelsior class. So this was ultimately the Enterprise B, but the Excelsior was in Star Trek 3. They had to try and escape from it, from a space dock. Oh, too many. And then this was Captain Picard's old ship. Ambassador was Enterprise C. Oh, too much. I'm going to find it. So I'm going to just skip along on these a few. There you go, Sarah.
So this is both in like a hardback book, but then also digital?
Yes, you can get it as a digital
nice.
PDF, which is the case with all of... So this is from Modiphius Entertainment. You can get these all as books. You can get them as deluxe books as well. But yes, you can get them as a PDF, which of course is really handy if you are playing this with your friends around the table. You can have it on your tablet. So you can quickly do searches through the digital version, which is of course really handy. If you need to get to a specific page real quickly, just type in a keyword and it'll instantly find that section. So there you go, there's the Enterprise D, Galaxy class starship. There's a fun video on YouTube, because again it's one of these things where there's been so much information written about the Enterprise D, and we know, even though it's a fictional ship and yet we talk about it as if it's a real thing, so we know how many crew members are on board the ship, and we know how large the actual ship is and how many decks are within it. And I watched this video where it showed that the crew standing on top of the saucer section is such a small number that actually the crew could literally go hours and hours without bumping into anybody if they were spread out evenly throughout the entire ship, which is really scary, because then you realize just how huge that ship is meant to be. So let's see if I can
Yeah, that is one thing. Like, you always think that like the ships are a lot smaller than they really are.
Well, they did. There's a photograph of. I hope I get this correct. So it is the USS Enterprise, but it's the Nimitz aircraft carrier, and they must have done this for, I don't know, some reason. They basically had all the crew standing on the flight deck, so you could see basically how many. And obviously, an aircraft carrier is such a cramped environment. You know, people are pretty much sort of sleeping and working on top of one another. So this was a replication of that photograph, but using what would be the modern Enterprise, and just realizing just how much space that ship has. You know, the fact that it really is a floating hotel near enough. There's just, you know, so much room. So I want to find... And again, fans of the show will probably have seen and most of these ships and actually go, oh yes, I've seen that in an episode, or oh yes, that was a ship in a certain series. So of course, this is the Defiant, which was in Deep Space Nine. Did you ever watch that show?
Yes, maybe. I think so.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like I haven't watched anything recently.
Well,
Probably
again,
Lower Decks is the most recent.
yes, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that Star Trek, as in the, let's call it the continuation of the main series that was, finished. When was it? Was it? Oh gosh, actually, when did it? Was it maybe the end of the 2000s? Because the Enterprise was the last series, and then it took a bit of a break, didn't it? And it came back in the movies, and now it's back on television. It's just the cycle of things, isn't it? So this, yeah, it's fair to say.
I'm just googling like Deep Space Nine, and then it shows me who all the characters in it are, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know which one this is. And
so, yeah.
Okay.
No, Defiant is a popular ship. Here we go. Intrepid. So this is from Voyager. So that's the next TV show. So this is the one that gets lost halfway across the universe and has to fly all the way back home, and took about 7 seasons to do so.
Who's Worf? No, Worf was with Next Generation. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was so popular, he then went on to Deep Space Nine as well.
Okay.
You see, so because he's just an awesome character, isn't he? There you go. Yep, Rogue is saying Deep Space Nine. Oh, so here we go. Sovereign class. So this is the Enterprise from the last group of Next Generation movies. So once the Enterprise D was destroyed, then it's the Enterprise E, which a lot of people really like this design. I think it's a really beautiful, sleek design of ship. And I want to see Prometheus. That appeared in one of the Voyager episodes. There, we'll keep making enterprises. There are plenty of letters, indeed. Nice quote. So, let's see if I can find it. I think that's it. There we go. Odyssey. So if I hope I'm correct on this. So this is Enterprise F. So we actually haven't seen this ship because E is the most recent in the movies, and then F was basically this is part of the Star Trek Online, and the developers put out a request to the community and basically said, okay, design us what the next Enterprise is going to look like. And so the community went away and they scribbled and they designed and they came up with different ideas, and ultimately somebody won the sort of competition. The ultimate prize was that the developer took their concept of designer and working with the designer basically created the new version of the Enterprise, which is the F, and now that particular ship is available in this source book. So again, I just love how things that have come, this has come from the community into a video game that's now come into the role-playing game. And I believe, hopefully I'm right, but in the final season of Star Trek Picard, when that airs next year, we might actually get to see this ship then realized in a TV show. So what a great story that this ship has, that there is just a fan out there who took a time to basically design a ship, and they're getting to see their ship in a Star Trek TV show. Isn't that cool? That's really cool, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
So again, there is just so many. So there you go. That goes to the end of the starships. And then we get to small ships. So we go in like various shuttlecrafts. which is a whole variety of shuttlecrafts. A lot of them in the Next Generation, they seem to do shuttlecrafts a lot in TNG and in that era. Space stations and dry docks. So again, we've seen a lot of these in the TV shows and the movies. But I love how all the artwork's all original. They look like scenes from the film, but there's just sort of little things that you make you know, hang on a second, this is actually original. I wish they'd included the ships from the original Starfleet Battles board game. Obviously, this is an updated catalogue of ships, but of course, as I showed right at the beginning, Amberden, you have all the rules to be able to create your own space frames. So there's no reason why you couldn't get some of those designs from the Starfleet battles and basically create them into for Star Trek Adventures. No reason at all. Again, that's what's really great about it, is that you can do that. All these rules allow you to do that. DS9 there you go. Just circle round the pylons once more. Do you get that one? Did you see did you see it? You seen that one yet?
No, I don't know.
No? Okay. Okay, I won't ruin it then. I won't ruin it. You gotta watch that episode, it's awesome. It made me laugh so much.
Which episode is it?
It's one of the episodes in Lower Decks. Because again, what's really cool about it being an animated series is they can get all of the actors to come on in and do voiceovers. So you've got animated versions of their characters.
Hervis was Lower Decks on.
It'll be Paramount.
Okay, but like Netflix, Amazon.
No. No, I think for you it will be, there's actually the Paramount streaming service. So I think that's where you would go for it.
Probably why I was stopped being able to watch it. It's because it stopped being on one of the other services.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There's so many different services to subscribe to these days, isn't there? There you go. Yeah, Mystical saying Paramount has its own service.
No one.
Why can't
Disney Prime and Netflix? All right. I lost Hulu when we moved to the UK. Because we couldn't get it there, and then yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, that's it. There's only if you basically if you want Star Trek, it's Paramount Plus. Yes, you've got to. Now they're back in the States. Can't afford to have all these streaming services.
Well, I think there's going to be a new trend where it's stream hopping, where basically you sign up for a service, you do it for 2 or 3 months, you watch everything they've got, and then you cancel and go on to another one and do exactly the same there. And then you can come back to that other one when they've got more content, you know, that comes along. Because yes, nobody wants to do everything all the time. So
yeah, we tried that with the scary movie service Shudder.
Right.
And there's some all right stuff on there, but it wasn't enough to keep past like the free trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were like, man, we're not going to keep this one.
Yeah. No, well, as more and more services come available, you know, people are going to actually start hopping around a lot more, because you can't possibly subscribe to all of them all of the time. It's just too many now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here we go. Do you want to build a shuttle? Yes, why not? So again, we're going a bit more into the actual role-playing game aspect of the rules here. Oh.
So like it has things in here for if something goes wrong with your ship and trying to fix it and all of that?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, how cool.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, that's the great thing about role-playing games, isn't it? Is that you pretty much embody the character within the story, and you can pretty much do whatever you want within that sort of narrative that's going along. So if something is broken, then you have to fix it, and of course you hopefully know enough about it. And the great thing about it is your character knows more than you do. So long as you can reasonably convincingly and confidently talk about, I am going to fix this computer with these isolinear chips, and I'm going to roll some dice, and my character has a technical score, and I need to get over this with my dice roll, then away you go. You go ahead and do it. But I did find it funny when we were playing the game, we were more like the Lower Decks crew than we were Picard or Kirk's crew. You know, they are the creme de la creme of Starfleet, and we were just bumbling around. Not necessarily making the best decisions. Again, it's very interesting when you're with a group of players who typically play Dungeons and Dragons to suddenly put them into the Star Trek universe, and you know, you meet an alien. What do you want to do? Well, kill it and grab its gold. That's not quite the Starfleet way. You know, it's maybe talk to it first and understand its motives. Do not instantly draw your phaser. Just use the sonic screwdriver. Whoops, wrong show. Yes, nice one. D&D Spelljammer is D&D in space. Well, again, it's trying to get your head around the different style of play, isn't it? Which can be a lot of fun, and that's what I like about the Lower Decks TV show, is that you know that they're in Starfleet, you know that it's all in the future, but they kind of act and talk a little bit like we do. In the fact that they haven't quite matured up to the levels of the great heroes of Starfleet, so it's more relatable. But yes, here you go. These are little scenarios, little missions. Gives you a bit of a synopsis, tells you what the major beats are within the actual story, give you a conclusion. So lots of little adventures here. Think of them like little TV episodes. So there's plenty to choose from. Oh, there you go. And then we get to the index, which, as I say, the digital version, you're able to reference this really easily.
Oh, wow.
And then we go. So we get some ads for basically the Star Trek Online, and then that's the Star Trek Adventures. You can see you actually can get a Borg cube container that basically can hold all your books and your dice and your miniatures and your player sheets.
And little figures.
Cool. Little figures, yes. And I believe that Modiphius is actually making the figures that they produce available as files for printout. So now you can print your own Starfleet crew. And again, what's really, really cool is that they do miniatures from the different sort of eras. So you can get hold of Kirk in his 60s outfit, and you can get them Picard in his modern 90s sort of outfit, which is quite cool. So a few more ads, and then again finish off with more starships.
I mean, or people could just do what I did with the figure and just get what was supposed to be a Star Wars figure.
And paint it up like a Star Trek figure, yes? Just to confuse everybody. That's just so you, isn't it, eh? So there we go. So that is the Star Trek Adventures Utopia Planitia Starfleet Sourcebook. It is, as I say, a great resource for the game, and just as a Star Trek fan. If you are a fan, you probably like the ships, and that being the case, they are all detailed wonderfully within the book. Really allows your imagination to go wild as you can enjoy all these different ships with all their history, And I like at the top here this noticeable starship. So as much as we have an idea of the class of the ship, but it also highlights where this ship might have been important within the actual within games, or within the TV shows, or within the movies, which is all quite cool.
This is pretty nifty.
It is cool, isn't it? It is cool. So yeah, fingers crossed they will be doing another version. Maybe they will do Klingon ships, which will be quite cool. Though I'm not sure. That's something I will have to check on, because from what I've seen and what I played, is I was playing it as a Starfleet perspective. But I wonder, can you play the game as a Klingon? Are you a Klingon within Starfleet? Maybe that works. But what happens if you wanted to play the game purely as a Klingon crew? Oh, that could be interesting, couldn't it? So maybe that's a supplement.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Right, there we go then. Thank you for joining us, Sarah. Having
Thank you.
Interesting chats all about Star Trek. Lots of little nice anecdotes.
Me knowing all of the facts that weren't the stuff that I needed to know for this, got it.
No, but hey, that's exactly what we were expecting.
Hopefully I knew enough to make up to where people be like, oh, you don't know Star Trek. I know enough random stuff.
No, that's absolutely fine. I think that next year when we start doing some role-playing games, maybe we'll have a play of Star Trek just to check it out and just to see what type of crew we might make, whether we are the pride of Starfleet, or whether we are definitely the lower decks.
Yes.
Do you think we
established all of this earlier?
I think we have, haven't we? Yes, we would definitely be the lower decks for sure. Our entire gaming session would be us swapping out the replicators and making sure they've got enough energy for people to make pot noodles. That would be our job.
Nothing would be set on the proper setting. I'd forget where I would place things constantly. Yes. Yeah, no, well imagine. I like the idea. We'd be like leaving in like a shuttle or something, and then somebody would be like, "Did you shut the shuttle bay doors?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. I don't know if I shut them or not. We have to turn around and check." Like, you know.
I think they have like a key fob for basically closing the hangar doors once you leave.
Right, but what if we didn't press it close enough? And it didn't work, right? You know, like a garage door opener closes. You don't know. What if it didn't work? So you have to circle back around and check.
Yeah.
I don't know how I survive life. What?
I love that idea. I love that idea. I'm sure there are other crew members who might realise that the great big garage door is open and they might close it for us, but I like the idea we have to go back and do it.
Just to check. Okay, cool. I did shut it. Okay, let's continue.
The conversation in the shuttlecraft. Okay. Now, how many times have you left the shuttle, the garage door open and it's not being closed, right? You always think that you leave it open, but actually you always close it.
Right, yes, never ever left it open, but we should still make sure.
If I don't waggle the handle a bit, I won't be certain. I need to imprint my memory with the idea that I've closed it.
To see that I did close it, and I don't remember seeing it closed.
It's these small world sort of problems, and yet you're outside this massive starship.
Oh man, Lenny forgot his phaser. We gotta go back anyways, guys.
Lenny again. I left it in my locker. I know I did. Yes, I think a lower decks Star Trek role-playing game it would actually be a lot of fun. Very very relatable situations, but in the 24th
century. The crew
century.
going out to clean up the goo that was left over from the A team doing
Yes.
something, and so the D team has to go out and clean up the goop.
Yeah. No. We're not the D team. We are much, much lower than that. As Roga was saying before,
Yeah,
that
like
there are
M.
plenty of letters in the alphabet.
The
We
M
are-
team.
We're much, much lower on the pecking order. Love it. Great stuff, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining on in.
Starfleet janitors.
Yes, that is exactly what we would be. We would be the janitors of Starfleet.
Not red shirts, because we survive. However, we find ourselves in a lot of sticky situations. But
Well, oh no, well, but that's it. That's it. Oh, no, see, you've got me going on this now because, of course, there is a guy using a space cleaner in Star Trek 2, isn't there? When Kirk comes out of the simulator room and he's there in the corridor buffing the floor. So there is Starfleet janitors. So yes, we could be a team of those who go around basically cleaning up afterwards, and then we find ourselves in our own little adventure. But how would we manage to deal with it, given that we don't do what the main team do? We just clean floors and make sure replicators work. I suppose it's a little bit of the Starfleet equivalent of the Red Dwarf crew. That's bringing a bit of a BBC sci-fi in play there. Are you guys familiar with Red Dwarf?
now you're just sitting there like, yes, I'm writing an entire Star Trek janitors.
Yeah, somebody must have done it already. I can't believe I'm being completely original here. Someone must have done that. Excellent. Right, thank you, Sarah. So look forward to we are going to be doing a game on Thursday, aren't we? Which should be fun. So yes, I guess we'll see you on Thursday evening then.
All right. Everybody have a good week until Thursday. Let me do my clicking of buttons to be able to leave this chat. Hold one moment, please. Hold one moment, please. All right. Everyone have a fantastic week. See you Thursday. Bye-bye.
Okay, and so thanks to Sarah for joining on tonight's showcase, taking a look at Star Trek Adventures Utopia Planitia Starfleet Sourcebook from Modiphius Entertainment. Blade Map, the Scutters from Red Dwarf, absolutely, yes. Yeah, Boys of the Dwarf. Yeah, no, I think that actually could be a lot of fun, couldn't it? We will be taking a look at some other roleplay games and supplements in the future. If you are enjoying taking a look at these videos, do leave a comment in the chat below on the YouTube video. It's very much appreciated. And look forward to seeing you all on Thursday evening as we play another tabletop game. Do come along and join us for that. But until then, bye for now.